Millionaire discovers twin girls hidden in trash. Their incredible transformation will inspire James Harrison, a self-made millionaire in his mid-40s, strutted through the narrow alleyways of his small town, defined not by his wealth but by the sweat of his brow and a heart bursting with empathy. Raised in a single-parent household, every step he took towards success whispered of the struggles. He once faced a harsh childhood marked by resilience and vulnerability. On that ordinary evening, the hum of everyday life shifted dramatically when he stumbled upon an unimaginable scene. Twin girls, no older than 5, huddled together inside a trash bin, their innocent eyes wide and brimming with confusion, reflecting a haunting reality. His heart clenched. Those little faces, so overwhelmed by fear, echoed memories of his own childhood battles. Compassion surged through him like a tidal wave. He didn't pause to consider the ramifications. He wanted to save them. And so, he scooped up Lily and Rose, nurturing them with love and comfort in his luxurious home, envisioning a bright new world filled with family dinners and laughter. However, the bright future he imagined came with shadows. Whispers spread like wildfire through the tight-knit community. How could a wealthy man try to save children deemed irredeemable due to their circumstances? The judgments stung, intensifying as word caught fire. James grappled with the community's biases, feeling the weight of their perceptions and questioning his resolve. What did it truly mean to be a father to these girls? Yet Lily and Rose, though timid, began to show resilience. Every cautious step they took into their new life reminded James of his upbringing, how the world could be harsh, how judgment could tear down even the strongest spirits. School, however, proved challenging. Bullies hunched like vultures, feeding on their past. But then, there was Mr. Thompson, a war veteran living down the street, a man grizzled by time and experience. His heart brimmed with wisdom, offering lessons of dignity and family that soothed the twins' fears. Just as hope began to flicker brighter, a brilliant idea sparked in James's mind. A fundraiser. He envisioned an evening of joy, focusing on community strength rather than only wealth, showcasing Lily and Rose's transformation to remind folks of their shared purpose. But as the event loomed, doubts crept in, murmurings brewed like bitter coffee among townsfolk who questioned his motives. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the night of the fundraiser approached, mounting tension filled the air like a storm waiting to break. Just when it seemed James's plans were unraveling, a spark of courage ignited in Lily and Rose. Despite their fears, they decided to share their story at the fundraiser, a chance to shine amid the swirling shadows. But as James prepared to introduce them, the ballroom doors swung open wide. An unexpected visitor stepped inside, carrying a hidden truth wrapped in silence. Gasps rippled through the audience, thickening the atmosphere with suspense. Would this revelation shatter James's quest for acceptance, or would it strengthen their newly formed family? The night pulsed with possibility, leaving everyone perched on the edge of their seats, hearts racing for what was to come next. As the doors opened, a chill rippled through the elegantly decorated ballroom. All eyes were on the newcomer, a woman in her late 30s with a face shaped by struggle but illuminated by purpose. Her eyes scanned the crowd, landing on James with an intensity that sent a knot curling in his stomach. He felt the room's energy shift, curiosity intertwining with unease. "Sarah," he whispered, unable to mask his disbelief. It was Lily and Rose's mother, the woman whose absence weighed heavily on the very souls of the twins he had fought to protect. Murmurs broke out among the guests, some taking a step back while others leaned in, hungry for the drama unfolding before their eyes. James' heart raced. How could she be here? How could she confront him after everything he had done for her daughters? The evening, which was supposed to celebrate transformation and healing, now teetered on the brink of chaos. Lily and Rose were hidden behind the stage curtains, their little faces peeking out as they watched, not fully understanding the magnitude of their mother's reappearance. James could see the flicker of recognition in their eyes, a mix of hope and fear. He needed to protect them, but how could he do that in this charged atmosphere? "Please, everyone," he called, raising his hands to garner attention. "This night is about love, about community. Let us hear what Sarah has to say." But the way Sarah stood, shoulders squared and fists clenched, spoke of a battle raging inside her. "I'm here for my daughters," she declared, her voice cutting through the whispers like a knife. "Not to fight, but to explain. I did what I thought was best." James stepped forward, sensing the urgency that hung in the air. "Sarah, please let us talk. We can work together. The girls need you." A glare of resentment flickered across her face. She turned to the audience, her bravery boldly shining through despite the tremors in her voice. "You all think you know what happened. You don't. I was trying to protect them the only way I knew how." Each word dripped with pain, evoking empathy even from those who had condemned her. People shifted, glancing at each other, recognizing the complexity of life's realities and the deep-seated struggles hidden beneath the surface. James felt the weight of the moment, sensing the walls around Lily and Rose begin to crack, exposing raw emotions. "We can be a family," he urged, his heart racing. "This is your chance to be a part of their lives again." But then, Sarah bowed her head, the agony of uncertainty lined on her brow. "Can you ever forgive me?" she asked, almost too quietly for anyone to hear. Tears filled her eyes, the fragile bridge she was trying to build wavering under the weight of unvoiced feelings. Lily and Rose now stepped tentatively onto the stage, their small hands clasped together. With courage crafted from their recent battles, they approached their mother slowly, fear peeking through their facade but strength anchoring them. The crowd held its breath, transfixed by the emotional whirlwind unfolding right there in front of them. James stood between them, heart pounding, mind racing with the enormity of the moment. Could forgiveness outweigh the wounds of past betrayals? Could this night spark a new beginning for their fractured family? As the emotional tension peaked, a phone rang loudly, jolting everyone back to reality. Distraction gripped the room, uncertainty threading itself into the hearts gathered there. What was the call about? What news could change everything once more? The sound of the phone cut through the heavy air like a bell tolling in the dead of night. Everyone's heads turned, and laughter faded into hushed whispers. James felt his insides twisting. What could possibly be more important than this moment? He turned to Sarah, who stood frozen, her eyes wide and filled with confusion. It was as if someone had thrown a bucket of ice water over the fragile warmth building between her and the girls. Lily and Rose were now staring at him, their small faces brightened by the ghosts of hope while shadows of doubt swirled in their eyes. "Sorry," a voice bellowed from the back of the room, breaking the spell. It was Marcus, the event organizer, fumbling with his phone. "It's important family business." He rushed toward the side door, oblivious to the whirlwind of emotion unfolding just feet away. James could see Sarah's shoulders slump, disappointment encasing her like a thick fog. She took a deep breath, as if trying to shake off the looming tension. "Maybe this is fate," she muttered, more to herself than anyone else. "No," James insisted, stepping closer. "You can't let this." The twinkle of a reporter's camera flashed, capturing the fractured moment of a mother and her children. The crowd murmured again, a mixture of intrigue and pity filling the space. Eyes began to shift uncomfortably, sensing the impending collapse of this fragile reunion. "This is your moment, Sarah," James said, his voice urgent. "Don't let it slip away. Talk to them. Share your truth." She looked at him, uncertainty pulsing behind her gaze. "And what if my truth isn't enough? What if they look at me like every other person has?" Lily reached out, her tiny hand trembling. "Mommy?" Tears threatened to spill from Sarah's eyes as she knelt in front of her daughters. "I've missed you every single day." Their hands met, tentative but electrifying. Rose squeezed her mother's fingers, lighting a spark that had been under layers of despair for far too long. "Are you coming back to stay?" she whispered, the innocence of childhood threading its way through the weight of years lost. "In time, I hope so." The warmth returned to Sarah's voice. The crowd, with bated breath, leaned in to witness a reunion that felt both fragile and strong. James couldn't help but feel swept up in the moment. The hidden darkness, still present but momentarily lifted. But at that instant, a sharp screech pierced the ambience. The double doors swung wide open again, this time letting in a gust of winter wind, followed by a man dressed in a hospital uniform. "Excuse me, we need to speak with Sarah Green," he said, urgency painted on his features. James instantly felt the shift again, a sudden chill cutting through the warmth of the moment. "What's going on?" The man's eyes, serious yet kind, met Sarah's. "Your sister. She's in critical condition. We need to get you to the hospital now." The shift in atmosphere was palpable, the energy darkening like storm clouds rolling in. All hope just moments ago seemed to slip through the fingers of every heart in the room. Tension hung heavily as Sarah stood, fear washing over her like a sudden wave. Scenes of longing and regret mixed with the need to be a mother, all of it clashed now with urgency. "Go," James urged, not knowing how else to act. "We'll be here. We'll wait for you, I promise." But who knew what that would mean now? As Sarah turned, the fragile bridge they had only begun to build felt endangered. Would she find the strength to save her sister, all while battling the new demons that lay ahead? With a nail-biting urgency, James watched as Sarah rushed out, the shadow of uncertainty lingering where she had been. What awaited her on the other side? Would this night darken further, or would it illuminate the path toward redemption for them all? The room fell into heavy silence as the doors swished closed behind Sarah. The warmth that had ignited moments ago was replaced by a collective breath, frozen in disbelief. James stood motionless for a moment, his mind racing. He felt the weight of every gaze upon him, a mix of sympathy and curiosity, waiting to see what would happen next. "Is she going to be okay?" Lily's voice broke through the stillness, small and tremulous. There it was, the raw honesty of a child who just wanted her mother by her side, who didn't understand the complexities of adult life or the harsh winds of fate. James knelt beside the girls, offering a reassuring smile that felt more like a mask. "She'll be okay. Your mom loves you more than anything. She'll fight to come back." He offered them a wink, wanting to infuse a sense of hope that he wasn't sure he fully believed himself. Lily's eyes searched his face, seeking reassurance. "She promises, right?" "Right," he said, though he felt a pang of guilt for the uncertainty swirling in his chest. He gazed toward the door, half expecting Sarah to walk back in, taking her place with confident ease, just like in that fleeting moment before chaos tore through the gathering. The crowd began to buzz with murmurs and speculation. Some attendees were sympathetic, others merely thrilled by the unfolding drama, but most were caught in a limbo between concern and discomfort. James knew he had to redirect the energy in the room, to combat the unease settling over everyone like a dark cloud. "Let us not lose sight of what brought us here. This event is about community, about strength." He raised his voice over the gathering chatter. "Sarah came here to reconnect with those she loves. We need to be that support for her, to show her she is not alone." A few heads nodded. He could see the people around him begin to refocus, their whispers turning from gossip to supportive conversations about family and love. Behind him, Lily and Rose sat still, their little bodies cramped in silence but their eyes bright, as if his words were flickers of light in their darkening sky. "Can we do something for her?" Rose spoke up, determination lacing her tiny voice. The other guests turned their sympathetic gaze toward the girls now, their focus shifting. "That's a wonderful idea, sweetheart," James replied, feeling buoyed by the moment. "Let us show her how much we care. Maybe we could write her messages, draw her pictures, anything to let her know we're here for her." There was a collective agreement from the surrounding guests. Within moments, tables were cleared, and paper, crayons, and markers were dug out from bags. The atmosphere began to shift again, this time breathing life into the dark shadows that had crept in. As the girls set to work, their laughter mingled with gentle conversations. They poured their hearts into their drawings, each stroke of their crayons reflecting their innocent hope. For every anxious whisper the crowd had, The children created a triumphant cheer. Just as he was losing himself in their embrace of creativity, James' phone buzzed in his pocket, jarring him back to reality. He pulled it out, and his heart skipped an anxious beat as he saw an unfamiliar number flashing across the screen. What could this be? Before he could mentally prepare himself, he accepted the call. Hello? The voice on the other end was low and urgent. James, it's me. We need to talk about Sarah. Every thought he had been nursing vanished, replaced by a sharp, alarming focus. What about her? He said, all thoughts of the artwork and laughter around him fading into the background. We have reason to believe there is more to her past than she has shared, and it might be crucial for her and your future. His heart raced. Just when he thought he was navigating the chaos, it turned upside down again. What did this mean for Sarah? What secrets lay tangled in her past? And would they unravel everything she hoped to heal? As the tension thickened in the air, James couldn't shake off the feeling that they were only at the beginning of a far deeper, more intricate journey. What awaited on the other side? James's breath hitched in his throat as he grappled with the weight of those words. More to Sarah's past? He felt a chill creep down his spine. His immediate instinct was to protect her, but he needed answers. Who is this? He demanded, trying to keep his voice steady. The voices around him pressing in, a whirlwind of innocence and fun that felt worlds away from the gravity of this call. This is someone who cares about her, James. The voice softened, but the urgent undertone remained. We can't talk here. Meet me. Tomorrow. Same place she went. What do you mean? James felt a mix of anger and confusion rise within him. Every instinct told him to dismiss the call and focus on the girls. She may not be safe, the voice pressed urgently. And if you care about her, you'll listen. The line went dead, leaving a deafening silence that made the colorful chaos around him seem far too loud. He looked up at Lily and Rose. They were completely engrossed in their drawings, unaware of the dark storm that had just brewed. Each crayon stroke punctuated the moment with a bright splash of hope. The sharp divide between their innocence and the harsh realities of life cut deeper into him. He took a step back, heart racing, mind spinning. There couldn't be any truth to it. Sarah wouldn't deliberately hide anything important from him, would she? Waves of doubt rushed through him. Could he trust her? And who was behind this mysterious warning? Despair settled within him, like a weight pressing down. Guilt gnawed at him. He had been trying to be her rock, to provide stability for the girls. But now, he couldn't escape the feeling that he was on the brink of a cliff, teetering between hope and fear. James? Rose's innocent voice pulled him back. Can you help us with our pictures? She held out a crayon, her small hand trembling with excitement. He forced a smile, but the warmth didn't reach his eyes. Sure, what do you need? Lily pointed at the blank space of paper in front of her. Can you draw a big sun? It makes everything happy. He nodded, grabbing a yellow crayon and making broad strokes across the page, conjuring the bright orb in the corner. But each swirl reminded him of the ominous truth threatening to overshadow their little room. Great. Now we can draw Mommy under it. Lily's voice bubbled with life, bringing a soft snicker from Rose. They were oblivious to the storm brewing inside him, two beacons of joy fighting against the growing shadows of uncertainty. As James finished the sun, he looked at the girls, their faces lit with delight. But in the back of his mind, the conversation lingered. He had to find a way to protect them, to protect Sarah. But how could he do that if he didn't know what he was up against? He seized a moment to breathe deeply, feeling the cool air filling his lungs, pushing against the tightness in his chest. Okay, how about we make this a little competition? He suggested, forcing enthusiasm. Who can draw the biggest flower? Their eyes sparkled with the idea, their laughter ringing through the room once more, wrapping around him like a protective cocoon. But as he watched them, he couldn't shake the fear that something dark was crawling closer, something that could break this fragile peace. That night, as he lay in bed, the words replayed in his mind. He had to uncover the truth about Sarah's past. Because if there was a threat, he needed to be ready for whatever or whoever was coming. Deep in the silence of the night, a decision formed within him. Tomorrow he would meet the caller. He needed answers for Sarah, for the girls, for their future. With that resolution, a new kind of anxiety settled in. What if he wasn't prepared for the revelations waiting in the shadows? What if Sarah's past was more complicated than he could fathom? As sleep finally found him, he resigned himself to one hopeful thought. Whatever came next, they would face it together. But in the raw cusp of dawn, just before the light broke, James felt a shiver of dread ripple through him. Tomorrow could change everything. Little did he know just how much. The next morning dawned with a hint of haze, the sun obscured by a blanket of clouds lingering above. James's heart pounded in time with the ticking clock on the wall, each tick bringing him closer to his meeting. He glanced over at the girls, sprawled across the living room floor, their laughter echoing in the still air. They were blissfully unaware of the storm brewing just beyond their idyllic world. He dressed with a tense urgency, each button fastened weighed down by a sense of foreboding. The day ahead felt like a high-wire act, balancing the fragile joy of childhood against weights he couldn't yet articulate. Before heading out, he knelt down to Lily and Rose, their eyes bright with morning eagerness. "Hey girls," he said, trying to keep his voice light. "I'm gonna go handle some grown-up stuff. You both be good, all right? I'll be back soon. Will you bring us something?" Rose asked, her innocence juxtaposing the tension in his chest. "Of course," he promised, forcing a smile, though he wasn't sure what his future held in those moments. With one last look at their sweet faces, he stepped outside, the chill of the morning air biting at his skin as he walked toward the park. Every step felt heavy, pulling him further from the laughter that filled his home. He arrived at the designated meeting spot, an old oak tree standing as a sentinel, its branches swaying gently in the breeze. He couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was about to unfold under that tree. As he stood there, mind racing, he replayed the shadows of doubt that had plagued him since the call. Would the truth help him protect Sarah and the girls or plunge them into a greater danger? Minutes dragged on, each one amplifying his anxiety. Then a figure appeared. A woman with dark hair pulled tight into a bun, dressed in a long coat that swept along the ground. She approached with a purpose, her features set in a serious expression that sent chills through James. "James?" she said, her voice steady. He nodded, not trusting his own voice yet. You called. Listen closely." She looked around, as if checking their surroundings. "I can't stay long. This is important." She took a breath. "You need to know about Sarah's past. There are people looking for her. Dangerous people." James felt his heart drop. "What do you mean? Why?" "She was involved in something much bigger than you realize. There are secrets, dark secrets. The kind that could destroy everything she has built. Especially now that she has the girls." Her voice faltered, and James could see the concern deep in her eyes. "Stop. What are you saying? You can't just drop that and not explain." Panic surged in him. The woman's expression hardened. "I don't have time. I'll be followed. You need to keep her safe. If they find out she's opened up to someone like you, I don't understand." James shouted, desperation lacing his tone. Why was she hiding this? With a sympathetic glance, she stepped closer. "You don't know who you're dealing with. Trust me when I say this. Her past might come knocking, and when it does, you have to be ready." And just like that, she turned and walked away, blending into the crowd as though she'd never been there. James stood frozen, the weight of her words crashing down on him. Who were these people? What had Sarah dragged into their lives? The picture of Sarah laughing with the girls felt so far removed from the truth he now faced. As he ran through his options, a tiny flame of resolve flickered within him. He had to talk to Sarah. He needed to understand, to prepare her, prepare them all. With every fiber of his being, he powered back toward home, determination tightening his grip. But deep down, he couldn't shake the feeling that the past was chasing them. Because sometimes, the shadows creep in, and when they do, all you can do is stand firm in the light. The thought loomed as he approached the door. What if Sarah wasn't the only one in danger? As he opened it, stepping into the living room, a sense of finality washed over him. It was time for what lay ahead. But as he glanced at the girls, giggling over their drawings, he realized that the battle to protect them was only just beginning. Would the love James felt for Sarah and the girls be enough to shield them from the storm approaching? James closed the door behind him, heart racing. The laughter of Lily and Rose felt like a fragile bubble that could burst at any moment. They were drawing in bright colors, oblivious to the dark cloud that had settled over him. He forced a smile, trying to drown out the chaos in his mind. "Hey, sweethearts, what are you working on?" he asked, hoping to inject warmth back into the room. "Look, Daddy," Lily exclaimed, holding up a picture of a family under a sun with a big smile. Rose joined in, waving her colorful creation proudly. "It's us." Their joy was infectious, but it also wrenched James's heart. How could he protect them from whatever shadows lingered just beyond their cozy haven? He knelt to get a closer look, desperate to hold onto this slice of innocence. "These beautiful girls, just like you." But as their giggles filled the room, thoughts of the mysterious woman nipped at him, tugging him away from the moment. He wanted to shield them, to shield Sarah, but how? Do you guys want to go to the park later?" he asked, trying to buy some time to figure things out. Yes. Can we have ice cream?" Rose bounced on her knees, her enthusiasm infectious. "Sure, ice cream it is," he replied, but the word felt heavy on his tongue. He still needed to talk to Sarah. He needed to know how deep the dangers ran. "Daddy, can we draw you next?" Lily asked, her eyes shining brightly. James couldn't help but chuckle, imagining himself surrounded by whimsical stick figures. "Absolutely. Just give me a few minutes." He stood up, allowing their laughter to wash over him as he retreated to the bedroom. Closing the door, he let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. He pulled out his phone, staring at Sarah's number. This wasn't just a casual chat. This was life and death. They needed to be prepared because the darkness that loomed was real. But no matter how urgent the situation, uncertainty flooded him. What if Sarah didn't believe him? What if it pushed her away? He thought back to their late-night talks, when they shared stories and dreams, finding solace in each other's arms. This truth, hidden like a secret in the shadow cast by her past, could shatter their world. Suddenly, he heard the girls' excited chatter from the living room. In that moment, he realized how much was at stake. He couldn't let fear dictate his actions. He needed to approach this with love, give Sarah the chance to explain. At the same time, he had to ready himself for what they might face together. When he emerged, the girls had lined up their drawings on the coffee table like an exhibition. "Look, Daddy, look at our art gallery," Rose urged, her joy lighting up the room. "Wow, it's incredible," James exclaimed, kneeling down again. "Each one is a masterpiece." As he admired their work, the creaking of the front door echoed through the house, followed by the sound of footsteps. James's heart dropped. Was it the woman? Or worse, someone from Sarah's past? He exchanged a quick glance with the girls. Their expressions shifted, sensing the sudden tension. The door swung open, and in walked Sarah, her expression weary but warm. "Hey, love, how are the girls?" she asked, but her voice faded as she noticed James's tight shoulders. Sarah, before James could fully articulate the warning spinning in his mind, his phone buzzed violently on the kitchen counter. An unknown number flashed across the screen, sending a chill through his entire being. "Stay close to me, girls," he said, glancing at the door as though someone might come through at any moment. Fear gripped him. He had to protect them all. But from what? As he hesitated, the phone buzzed again. He reached for it, knowing this could be the answer to many questions or the beginning of something far more dangerous than he had anticipated. When he picked up, a voice on the other end sent a shiver down his spine, and he realized their lives were irrevocably shifting once more. "James," the voice said, chillingly familiar, "we need to talk and you won't like what I've got to say." His heart raced. The storm had arrived, and there was no escaping its fury. What was this truth that was about to unravel? James's grip tightened around the phone as the voice echoed ominously in his ear. He felt the world around him fade into a blur. Lily and Rose's laughter now distant, the vibrant colors of their drawings muted behind a dark veil of anxiety. "Who is this?" he managed to croak, the question barely escaping his throat. There was a pause on the line, and for a moment he thought the call had ended. But then the voice returned, a smooth, chilling tone that sent icy fingers down his spine. "Let us just say I know more about Sarah than you do, and she's in deeper than you can possibly imagine." James's breath quickened. He cast a side glance at Sarah, who was now arching an eyebrow, clearly aware of the abrupt shift in his expression. "What do you mean?" he said, trying to sound tougher than he felt. "Meet me at the old diner on 5th at noon tomorrow. Alone. Or else I can't guarantee your little girl's safety or Sarah's." The line went dead, leaving only a high-pitched ringing in his ear, the weight of fear settling heavily in his chest. "James?" Sarah stepped closer, her voice laced with concern. "What's wrong?" He met her gaze, trying to decipher the depth of trust that had once been so strong between them. "We need to talk. Now." For a moment, the playful atmosphere of the living room dimmed. The girls, sensing the storm brewing, went silent, their bright expressions fading into uncertainty. "Are you all okay?" Sarah asked, kneeling down to the girl's level. James took a steadying breath. This was the moment his fears could turn to ashes. "It's not about you girls, I promise." "Sarah, I got a call from someone who knows about your past. They said they would hurt you or the girls if I didn't follow their instructions." Her eyes widened, a mixture of shock and confusion flaring. "What? James, who called? And what do they want?" "The reason I was trying to find out what's going on with you, Sarah. You've never told me everything." Tears began to form in her eyes. "I didn't want to burden you with my past. I thought I could leave it behind." "It's not a burden. It's who you are. We're a family, and I need to know how to protect us," he urged, his voice rising with urgency. Rose tugged at his sleeve, her tiny voice breaking through. "Daddy, I'm scared." James knelt next to her, wrapping an arm around both girls, letting their warmth ground him. "I know, babe, but we're going to figure this out. Together." He turned back to Sarah, his heart pounding with the weight of their uncertain future. "I need you to tell me everything. No more secrets. I can't handle this fear without knowing what we're up against." She nodded slowly, her features crumpling as she took a deep breath. "Okay, but you have to promise you'll understand." As they sat together on the carpet, a tidal wave of emotions swept through them: fear, dread, and a flicker of hope. But as James looked into Sarah's eyes, he realized that the path ahead ran deeper than any shadows that loomed outside their door. "Where do we even start?" he asked, his voice small, nearly drowned out by the weight of their reality. Before she could reply, the phone buzzed again, another unknown number lighting up the screen. The tension in the air thickened as James picked up, their fragile moment of connection suspended in uncertainty. "James," the voice on the line breathed, "you have just a few hours to decide. Are you ready to face the truth?" Inside, he felt the walls closing in. They had barely begun to unravel the darkness, and now they would have to confront whatever had been hidden for too long. "We don't have a choice," he whispered to himself, a promise of determination forming in the depths of his heart. But the real question lingered in the air: were they truly prepared for the fallout? As the clock ticked mercilessly onward, the silence before the storm began to surge. What would Sarah reveal, and just how deep did the danger lie? James's hand trembled as he hung up the phone. The air around them felt heavy, each breath he took weighed down by the uncertainty of what lay ahead. He could see panic wash over Sarah's face, her features contorting in ways he had never witnessed. She pulled herself into a tight ball, wrapping her arms around her knees like a shield. "James," she whispered, her voice barely audible, "what am I dragging you into?" "Whatever it is, we're in this together," he reassured her, but doubt crept into his mind. How could he protect them when fear was already gnawing at the edges of their lives? Lily and Rose were still huddled close, their innocent eyes darting between their parents as if sensing the invisible tension hanging in the air. James squeezed their shoulders and forced a smile, even as his heart raced with all the disasters that could unravel. "Let us do something fun." "Huh?" he suggested, trying to draw them out from the shadows. How about a movie night? We can make popcorn and pick out our favorite snacks. But Daddy, Rosa's small voice piped up, are you and Mommy okay? James's smile faltered. He glanced at Sarah, her soft eyes glistening with unshed tears. They were supposed to be a fortress for the girls, but right now, it felt as if their own walls were crumbling. We're okay. Babe, Sarah said, a tremor lingering in her voice, just a little tired. How about we watch that new superhero movie you wanted? The girls cheered, and for a brief moment, his heart momentarily lifted amidst the storm brewing inside. As they settled down in front of the TV, he glanced sideways at Sarah. The shadows beneath her eyes told a different story, one that was tangled with secrets he hadn't yet unraveled. Sarah, he said quietly, waiting for the girls to be engrossed in the colorful opening credits. I need you to trust me. Whatever you've kept hidden, it needs to come to light today. I can't fight this battle without you. She nodded, swallowing hard, and he saw the internal struggle etched on her face. I didn't want you to see me as a liability, but now I know that it's impossible. James took her hand, feeling the warmth of their connection. You're not a liability. You're my wife and we'll face this together. Just tell me what we're dealing with. Taking a deep breath, Sarah leaned closer, and the world around them faded. She shared snippets of her past, a life she had fought to escape. Each fragment was like a piece of a puzzle lying dormant, waiting for the right moment to click into place. But as she spoke, the unease that had settled in James's gut deepened. Someone from that life has found us, she said, her voice quivering. If they know where I am, it's only a matter of time before they come for us. Every fiber of his being raced with the need to shield their family from this unseen threat. What do we do? I have to go to that diner, she replied, the determination piercing through her fear. If I don't confront them, it won't end. They will keep coming back. No, he protested instinctively, anxiety rising. You can't go alone. I won't let you. She squeezed his hand tighter. If I don't go alone, they might hurt you or the girls. I can't let that happen. I don't know what that man wants, but it won't be good. Just as the weight of her words sank in, the girls laughed at an explosion of colorful cartoon heroes on the screen, a stark contrast to the dark reality they faced. James, I can do this, Sarah urged, her eyes intense. But I need a plan, something to protect you and the girls while I'm gone. Can you trust me? The night stretched on, filled with laughter from the girls and the tension that hung heavily around them. In that moment, as fear teetered on the brink of panic, James realized they were racing against time. He had to devise a strategy to keep them safe while supporting Sarah through this next step into the shadows of her uncertain past. The clock was ticking. Could he muster a way to keep his family safe while Sarah confronted the darkness awaiting them both? And what if confronting the truth was the most dangerous choice of all? The morning sun broke free from the clouds, scattering rays of golden light into the Harrison home. James woke with a start, heart pounding, and a sense of urgency clinging to him like an unwelcome shadow. Today was the day. The day Sarah would confront her past, and the day James would act. The girls giggled in the living room, unaware of the storm brewing beneath their cheerful facade. He needed to keep it that way, at least until he could ensure their safety. After a quick breakfast, scrambled eggs and buttered toast, a small comfort in the chaos, James knelt beside Lily and Rose. Girls, I've got a big surprise for you today, he said, managing a smile despite the anxious thrum in his chest. Can we have ice cream for lunch? Rose chirped, eyes sparkling with delight. Even better. We're going to the park today to have a picnic. Right before Mommy's meeting, he said, feeling a glimmer of hope as their excitement bubbled over. We'll pack yummy sandwiches and fruit. With their bright laughter echoing around him, James focused on the tasks at hand, packing sandwiches, chips, and drinks into the picnic basket. Each movement was methodical, a routine that kept his mind steady. But still, anxiety gnawed at him. What if something went wrong? As he glanced at Sarah preparing for her meeting, tension hung in the air between them, thick and unyielding. Are you ready for this? He asked softly, trying to find comfort in their bond. She turned, and for a moment, Vulnerability flickered in her expression. I don't know if I'll ever be ready, she admitted. But I have to face it. James took her hands, grounding them both. We're in this together. Whatever you face, whatever happens, come back to me. Okay? Promise me you'll keep the girls close, she urged, searching his eyes for assurance. I promise, he said, determination filling his voice. And I've got everything planned for their safety. Just focus on what you need to do. With one last embrace, he felt the weight of his love for her swirl within. Then, she was gone, stepping into the morning light, while he turned toward the girls. They were busy decorating the picnic basket with stickers, innocent and carefree. We have to finish packing our surprises, James said, urging himself to act cheerful. He needed to keep their spirits high and his own fears suppressed. As they cleaned up, the morning unfolded like an old movie. The girls joked and groaned about their lunch options, filling the air with innocent chatter. Yet the entire time, a part of James remained outside of that room, anxiously awaiting Sarah's return. The park loomed ahead, with bright green grass and the sound of children playing echoing through the trees. James grasped the picnic basket tightly, his thoughts racing. What if something happened? What if they were seen? They spread their blanket on a small, serene patch of grass, far enough away from the bustling crowd but close enough for James to feel secure. They laughed and set up their little oasis under the sun. For a moment, it brought him joy, even as his heart raced with worry. Daddy, can I have the first bite? Lily asked as they sunk their teeth into the sandwiches, her eyes crinkling with delight. Of course. He watched her eat, layering a smile over his unease. Rose giggled and chimed in with her own playful demands. They were blissfully ignorant of the dangers swirling ever closer, and that was a comfort he clung to. But soon, the idyllic moment broke. His phone buzzed in his pocket, sending a jolt of tension coursing through him. He pulled it out, heart hammering in his chest. It was Sarah's number. Answer it, Rose shouted, her little voice tinged with excitement. Mommy. Taking a deep breath, James answered. Sarah, is everything okay? James, her voice trembled, fear clinging to every syllable. Something's wrong. I need you to be very careful. What do you mean? Panic surged through him, twisting his stomach. What happened? I can't explain right now, but there are people. A loud crash shattered the calm day, echoing from a distance. Stay by the girls, she ordered, voice sharp. Promise me you'll protect them. I will, James replied, vision flaring with determination. The call cut off abruptly, leaving worry clawing at him as he turned to Lily and Rose. Their smiles faded as they felt the weight of his sudden tension. Is everything okay, Daddy? Lily asked, eyes wide. Everything is perfect, he lied, forcing a smile. But how about we play a game? Who can find the best rock for a treasure hunt? As they scurried off, giggling, James's heart raced in a different way. He scanned the park, a growing fear creeping in. Was someone watching? Were they really safe? Minutes stretched into lifetimes, each second echoing his rising anxiety. Finally, he urged the girls back to the picnic blanket. Time for a rest, he said, guilt gnawing at him. They relaxed on the grass, laughter ringing out as they shared stories. But when James glanced at the entrance, his stomach dropped. Figures loomed in the distance, cloaked by shadows. Anxiety seized his heart, and his immediately categorical thoughts spiraled into chaos. He needed to keep the girls safe whatever the cost. Let us go, girls, he said briskly, his voice steady though his insides churned. Time to head home. But we just got here, Rose protested, her disappointment evident. Just a few more minutes, Lily chimed in, pulling herself back into her treasures. James focused on the group approaching. Their demeanor was off, a calmness that masked tension. If they were hunting Sarah, then they need to act now. Time was of the essence. As the girls continued playing, he scanned for an escape. The park felt suffocating, and the walls of his heart pounded in sync with the dread hanging around them. Girls, I need you to listen carefully, he said, voice low and steady. Lily looked up, curiosity spiking. What? We need to go home. Right now. But sweetheart, please trust me. He stood firm, gathering their treasures hastily sandwiches, crayons. Laughter turned to uncertainty. The weight of the figures drew closer, and James ignited with a surge of protectiveness. With their belongings stuffed back in the basket, they rushed toward the car, every instinct demanding he shield them from the lurking threat behind him. As they climbed into the car, he glanced quickly through the window. They were gone, but the fear remained, a relentless echo hitching a ride with them. With determination churning in his gut, he started the engine. Adrenaline coursed through him. He had to find Sarah, and fast. His heart raced as they drove. Could she get back home safely? Would they make it in time to protect their family? Every moment pulsed with urgency. They weren't just fleeing. They were racing against time, shadows whispering behind them. With the girls safe for the moment, his mind whirred with plans, fear, and love. This was only the beginning. Maybe the world around them would be filled with uncertainty, but James Harrison would fight for his family, no matter the darkness that loomed. They would emerge into the light together. He wouldn't falter. He couldn't. The road stretched out ahead, a path into the unknown, brimming with challenges and hope. And just like that, his resolve solidified. Hang on, girls, he whispered, determination igniting within him. We're going to get through this. And with that, he pressed on, racing towards whatever awaited them, fueled by love, purpose, and the unwavering belief that they would find their way home. Now was the time to fight for their future. It all began right here. Hey, if you've been touched by this transformation and want to continue this journey with us, you need to subscribe now. Don't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire and uplift you. And while you're at it, leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow together. We want to hear from you. Comment your thoughts, reactions, and feelings about this ending. Share your heart with us. You must share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation, because their support matters too. This is the moment to show your support and ensure no one misses out on these incredible stories. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Let us spark a movement of hope and change together.